I'm the new chair of the Liberal International British Group, following on from Wendy, who's currently taking a picture of me. I took over as chair just this summer, and this is the first event that I've been here to organise. This is a forum on Kurdistan, asking the question, will the Kurds now get what they deserve? And I think that what we mean by that, I think, is or it might not be clear to some, is a Kurdish state in the longest term. In the longest term, it might not mean a Kurdish state that covers the entirety of Kurdistan, but we need to probably go forward incrementally. Please, if you're not already a member of Liberal International British Group, I've left some membership forms on the table by the door. We run many events like this, not just in London now, but we've branched out. We're running events in the Midlands and the North West, as well as here in London. We run regular events here at the National Liberal Club, and we are the British group of the wider Liberal International. I have just actually returned from Mexico City from our Congress, so if I fall asleep halfway through, I must ask the speakers to nudge me if I'm not doing my job, because I'm just almost fresh off an overnight flight from Mexico City, where we had a highly successful Congress. I think the highlight was welcoming the return of the Argentine Liberal Party into Liberal International, particularly considering they've made it through to the runoff in the presidential election against the Peronists, and they believe that they have a very, very good chance of winning the presidency of Argentina and really taking it off the populists. So we are a global organisation. We look at issues across the world. Most recently, my own contribution was to make a statement to the United Nations Human Rights Committee in Geneva, calling for the release of Anwar Ibrahim, who is also, his party is also a member of Liberal International, and we all know that he's been imprisoned by the regime in Malaysia, and I'm told that my 2-minute video has had 100,000 hits in Malaysia, so we are an effective organisation, not just bringing liberals across the world together politically, but a very effective organisation in terms of standing up for human rights across the world, whether we have political sister parties there or not. So please do join. We need your membership. We need your subscriptions if we are to carry on doing the work we do. It's very, very important. I don't get any expenses whatsoever for going to Mexico City. It all has to come out of my own pocket. So we put a lot of commitment into this, and we do need members. So that's my plug. And remember, they're on the. It's only £20, and it's that's a year. It's and that is a suggested subscription. You can get away with less if you're in straitened circumstances. So please do join us. Now I'm going to introduce the speakers. First of all, I will introduce the one who's not here. We were to have a speaker from the Kurdish Democratic Party, who was to be Ahmed Adem, who from the KRG, but unfortunately his visa was turned down on Friday. He's a fairly senior person in the foreign relations department from the KRG, and one of their staff here offered to stand in. Half an hour ago, I received an email to say he'd been suddenly taken ill. So it's been a little bit of a problem. It's a very great shame that we don't have somebody from KRG on the speaker table here. I don't know if there's a volunteer to replace him. If there's anybody in the audience from the KRG who thinks they can speak for the KRG, they'd be welcome to join us at the table here. I'm not seeing any offers. Secondly, I'll start on my right, it makes it easier. We have Akif Rizgar Wan, who is from the Kurdish National Congress, which is an umbrella movement for a large number of Kurdish organisations, and he's based here in London. Then on my left is Arif Bawecani. Arif has actually flown in from Oslo for this debate. He's an old friend of the Liberal Democrats, so we know him through various previous meetings. And Arif is from the party Serbesti Kurdistan, which is an Iranian Kurdistan group operating in exile in Oslo. And we look forward to your contribution, Arif. And then we have, from our own Liberal Democrat Party in the United Kingdom, Turhan Ozen, who's a Kurd originating from Turkish Kurdistan. He's a Kurd from Turkey originally, but he's been here in the UK for a very, very long time, and he's a very active member of the Liberal Democrats and our international team when we go to congresses abroad. So Turhan is largely speaking on behalf of the Liberal Democrat Party from the United Kingdom. Now then, I want the speakers, firstly, to focus on the future rather than on past grievances in this debate. I think what we need to do now is look to the future and see if there is an opportunity for a Kurdish entity to come out of the mess that we see at the moment in the Middle East and the tragedies that are happening. So I don't think it's going to be too productive to overly concentrate on past grievances, and I think we need to be constructive and look for possible ways forward. So I want to ask the following questions. I want them to answer the following questions. Firstly, what are the prospects of progress towards a Kurdish state? For instance, is the KRG a starting point towards this? How should the West, i.e. the United States, the European Union, even the UK, how should the West, how should we help in forwarding this process? I also want you to touch on Islamic State. Will the fight against Islamic State, it's a challenge. Could it act as a catalyst for an independent Kurdish state? And then Turkey. Can Turkey play a... Is it too close? Thanks. Sorry if I'm... Can you hear me now? I suppose you could probably hear me without this altogether. Can Turkey play a positive role in light of yesterday's election results? Both for Kurdistan and the wider region. I think we need to assess that Turkey has not played a particularly positive role in the last, certainly in the last year. So, what should the role of Turkey be? Can it play a positive role in this in the longer term? Possibly not immediately. And what about the overtures, the new overtures of the European Union towards Turkey? Really promoted by the migration crisis, the refugee crisis coming out of the Middle East. Is this new approach a more positive approach from the European Union towards Turkish membership? Does that have any impact or any relevance on the Kurdish situation at all? So those are the questions I want you to sort of think about, and I'm going to give each of the speakers 15 minutes. And I will give you a 2-minute warning, and there won't be any sort of tolerance of going over, because I want to have plenty of time for questions at the end. And remember, you will get another go when the questions come in. So all the speakers will have 15 minutes. I'm not sure if we have a particular order in mind. We haven't discussed it. But Arif, I think I'm going to ask you to go first, because you were the first person to accept my invitation to speak. You can use the microphone, that one, but as I found out, be a bit further away from it than I was. Right, okay, over to you, Arif.
Yes, thank you. Dear British Librāldīmōkrāti Party, dear Liberal International British Group, first of all, I want to thank you very much for your intention to organize a reform for Kurdistan and all parts of Kurdistan. Our party, PSK, Ozen, has praise of your friendship for the Kurds. As all you know, Kurdistan is divided among 4 occupation countries. One part is occupied by Iran, called name is Eastern Kurdistan. Then part of Turkey is Northern Kurdistan, Syria is Western Kurdistan, and Iraq is Southern Kurdistan. Today my speech in Iranian Kurdistan, and my political party is from Eastern Kurdistan. A little about Eastern Kurdistan. Eastern Kurdistan in Kurdish language is Rojhalati Kurdistan, the second biggest part of major Kurdistan, which has population of approximately 11 million people in 4 counties in the Kurdish areas and several counties in Persian populated Iranian areas. The large city in Eastern Kurdistan is Kermanshah, of the number of the entire country closer to around 3 million. In East Kurdistan, we have many different religions. They are Sunni, Shia, Sunni Islam, Shia Islam, Yarsan, Yazidi, Christian and Jewish. First Kurdistan power and independence in Iran was in 1946 under Soviet rule and protection, created as a Kurdish state around the town of Muhabbat under the leadership of Qadi Muhammad. Kurd situation in Iran. In the country called Iran is situated 5 large nations that counts over 65 of residents in Iran. The nations are Kurds, Baluch, Arab Ahwaz, Turkmen Sahara, and Turk Azari. Iran is origin this nation to Iranian and they have to use only Persian language. Firstly, it is not permitted to study their native language or any of their political or cultural tradition. In all these nations are still struggle against an Iranian regime for peace and improvement. Kurds are one of these nations that were always in the struggle against the occupation country as Iran. They have cost the lives of 10,000 of their people for peace and independent Kurdistan. Iranian Islamic regime is a country of stoning, execution, important, pushing youth to become addicted. The active Kurds for political NGO style getting the death penalty of long prison sentence from the Iranian regime. Iran is also in fact pushing Kurdish youth with ace access and permission to make them becoming drug addicts to stop them from thinking of political on their right. In this way of foreign power, the Iranian regime policy of capturing and extortion of people is increasing. None of the new president and change this. For example, in Hassan Rouhani's time was more extortions than in Ahmadinejad's time. There is a system in Iran that decades over everything based on the obedience to their religions and the support religions leader. Although Kurds live under the worst situation and worst treatment from the Iranian regime ever. They are still fighting for their right. Iran has strong military presence in all Kurdish areas. PSK working for liberalism in Kurdistan. PSK is the short name for Party Serbesti Kurdistan. PSK is the only Kurdish liberal party of Eastern Kurdistan. PSK is neither a military nor religious party Parti Serbesti Kurdistan PSK, a liberal party founded in 2006. Our main goal is to work for Kurdish rights and to be liberal democracy policy in Kurdistan, to cooperate and build friendship with the European and the world liberal parties. We are working for Kurdish rights in Iran as diplomatic and democracy system. PSK is working in the cleansing way inside Kurdistan and cooperate with the International Organization for Kurdistan. Our first Kurdish Liberal International Congress was in Oslo in 2013. Mr. Unadil Freer was in our Congress in Oslo. Not today, maybe it's in Mexico. Yes. Therefore, we need your political support for our party to have close days with British Liberal Democrat Party and the European Liberal Democrats Party. We want to work on more liberalism ideas, and we need to use your experience in Kurdistan. Also, we need your support for Kurdish in Iran against all human operation from the Iranian regime. Iran is also actively working to undermine the establishment of sovereign Kurdish state in neighboring country. I urge you to be skeptical to what comes out from the Iranian regime. I proposal to Liberal Democrat Party in UK. Finally, I give the proposal to our party friendship Liberal Democrat Party in Britannia that the Liberal International British Group become more active with all different nations who are living in the UK. For example, in the many thousand of Kurds in the UK, thousands of Arabs from Ahwaz in the UK, and 1,000 Baluch, they are nation of Baluchistan live in London. Yes. If you are international committee, focus on these nation problems and discuss their case in UK Parliament when you have done a good and human rights issues, also for you good result in the next election in UK. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arif, for keeping on the time. I think that it's notable that Arif has pointed out the best thing we can do for the Kurds in Iran, because I think there is little prospect of the Iranian regime allowing Kurdish independence, certainly in the near future. I think is to point out these human rights abuses and work try and put pressure on the Iranian regime to reform in terms of giving more rights for the various minorities. And it's clear that they have the Kurds have put a case together with the Awazi Arabs, and I have, when I was the member of the European Parliament, I had a strong dialogue with the Awazi Arabs who have representatives here in the UK, and their problems were that they were being arrested and having their property confiscated by the Iranian state because of its sort of Farsi supremacy, if you like. And the Awazis are the area of southwestern Iran is an Arab majority area, and nearly all of the population is Arab, and they have the same sorts of problems as the Kurds do in the northwest of Iran, in that they don't have the same human rights, they don't have the same political rights as the majority in the Iranian population. And I think he's absolutely right that the first thing we can do for Iranian Kurds is to ensure that our voice is heard. And we certainly made sure our voice was heard in the European Parliament when I was there, particularly for the Awazi Arabs. And he's also mentioned the Baluchs from the east of Iran, who are another minority. And I suggest possibly that one, with the nuclear deal, there again is there is some leverage now that we have on Iran that we didn't have on Iran when Iran was a sort of international pariah and not taking part in the wider world. So I think we have a new opportunity here to at least put pressure on the Iranian government, the new Iranian government, to try and make reforms to give the minorities in Iran more political rights, and I think that's probably the move forward there. So I'm going to ask next Arif, if we can make some progress in this way in Turkey and Iraq, do you think this can, in the longer term, help also in Iran and lead towards devolution and improvement of rights for the Kurdish areas of Iran?
Yes. I want to have a translate because my
yes.
Yes.
Sorry, I have some comment as well, but maybe my English is not, because around the 3 years I came to this country, and do you speak Kurdish or Arabic?
But I don't understand the Kurdish dialect.
Sorry, because the political something thing, but it's very important.
Yes. Okay, you can translate, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. من لپیش امیو بگم که ایران بداخل لآستی اروپا و عالم و جهان بولاتي بناسا وكخواني چکی اتمی و چکی گوریه بلام لحقیقت ایران داگیکری خاکی پیش نتوی گوریه باسی داگیکری خی نکرد تنها باسی ام چکو چولی دکرد
in chunks.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Iran has been the regime who's have got the most weaponized like atom bombs, which is they have been taking over a lot of ethnic groups in Iran, which is criticizing them, and they don't have right to live, to have got their rights.
خاکی پیش نتوی داگیکرو occupied 5 nations country.
Yeah, Iran has been actually. I don't.
Yes.
Yeah. You can speak it.
5 nations country like Kurds, Baluch, Arab, Turkmen, and Azeri.
Yes.
I hope your political party and your liberal democrat working with right for their nation in Iran. Not Iran just have open. Iran is an occupation country for their own nation. Number 2, Mr. Agil, can you help me, please?
I know what you mean. If you didn't hear what Arif said there, he said we shouldn't just concentrate in our dealings with Iran. We should not just concentrate on the nuclear weapons issue.
I can give you more information.
When we get to talk, when we go into the talks with Iran, and now things are thawing a little bit, we should also raise the issues of the various nations or ethnic groups in Iran and their lack of rights. And we need to put pressure on that issue just as much as we do on the nuclear weapons.
As Iran وکو سوویت یونیونی پیشو دبینم چون که سوویت یونیون چند ولاتی که داگیر کرد بود بزور بلام آخری همو جابونه ایرانیش هرگز نتوانه رژیمت بیت که مافیا نتوانه قبول کرد لبر اویا alternative نابین ایسا هر مجاهدون من مجاهدی خلق باوری به مافی کردنیه سلطنت خواسته باوری مافی کردنیه هر وکو احمدی نژاد و حسن روحانی تماشاکر لبر اویا ایران چارسر اویا نتوکان جابونه یا کنفدرالی بی یا سربخویی بیت یا هرچی بیت.
In brief, this has a similarity like ex-Soviet Union. Iran is the same level. The oppressed and also occupied nations, Kurds, Baluch and others. That's why we need to divide them like what happened in terms of democratic changes happened in the Soviet Union in the 90s. Then people should decide how they want to live, where they want to live. Otherwise, we will not be able to solve including Kurdish question in Iran.
ما في چاره نوس أو قرانا يقلع بيتوا كيش العراق.
The only solution he says for solution in terms of solution, it could be political, but again the division, the independency for those people live in that area, including Kurds.
Thanks. Yes.
John Manning, I live in the Scottish Highlands. so we have some experience of devolution, although it may be seen in different ways in different parts of Scotland. But I'm very pleased to hear reference to people living together, small communities, being able to talk with each other and live as one. But this label devolution can be very dangerous unless there is a recognition at the outset by wide numbers of people concerned that we are going to talk about something called devolution rather than we're going to use it for our own ends. That is the scene in Scotland at present, with the predominant political party now presenting itself as centre-left, social democratic. Its real agenda is one word: independence. So this dilemma, I think, will face Kurdish people and those with whom they live in these other countries, because there will always be people who will want to go further than a corporate consensus. And how that works out remains to be seen.
Yes, I think that's a comment rather than a question. I think we have this difficulty at the moment in delivering the message of better together. Not just with Scotland and England, but with the UK and the rest of the European Union. That we can be different, but still part of a broader entity, and that broader entity can actually bring strength to all. And I think this is something that we have to incorporate into devolution. Is that devolution can be help the expression of some differences without actually creating divisions. And I think this is what we need to do. Yes, you can. Yes,
the bigger whole needs an entity of understanding.
Yes.
And we don't actually have that in the United Kingdom.
I know we don't. I know. Yes.
بڵێ ئێمە ئەڵێن خۆزگە ئێران 1% بریتانیا مافی گەلەکەی خۆی ئەدا تا من دیراسەم لەگەڵ سەر سکۆتلان کردووە خەڵکی سکۆتلان هەموو مافێکیانی کە خەڵکی لە لەندەن هەیەتی لەبەر ئەوەیە.
He's saying we wish to have like Iran had like Britain had get 1% freedom, and actually we didn't want to leave Iran, but actually we don't have those rights.
Yes.
And that's the reason we try to leave.
جیاوازی نییە لەگەڵ کەسێک لە گلاسکۆ یا کەسێک لە لەندەن بێ هاوڵاتیی بریتانیا هەموو
and we know that there is no any difference between any person. There is no different from Scotland or from London. There is no any difference between them. They have got same right.
Yes.
And we don't have in Iran. We don't have those.
No, that is true. I think for the Iranian perspective, from the perspective of Kurds and other minorities in Iran, the priority is to get the same human and political rights as the majority.
Because we want to have independence in Kurdistan.
But it is because of the denial of those rights that you want independence, and and of course, if you had those rights, then the pressure for independence might well be much less. Yes. Does anybody else want to comment on? Merlin, you asked the next. You're in for the next one. Merlin.
Thank you. Thank you, all speakers, for very interesting different perspectives. May I throw in two more sort of different way of looking at it? One is culture. When I was parliamentary candidate in Hammersmith, I met with Professor Jawad Mela, that you may know, of the Western Kurdistan, and he started a museum for Kurdish folkwear and all sorts of arts. So maybe the different Kurdish elements could come together and have a sort of a force, a cultural force, to teach the world what Kurdish culture is about. And then the second new element I'd like to introduce is economic power, because as we know, China is very strong because of its economic strength. And China's policy now is the Silk Road, one belt, one road, moving west. Maybe the Kurdish movement can harness that philosophy of using economic power, a bit like Kazakhstan's got a huge sovereign fund. Even a Kurdish society in exile can build up that economic force, and money can, in fact, bring power indirectly rather than through political means. Just those two thoughts.
Do you want anybody?
One of my favorite movies is
French movie. It's called Jean de Fleur. Has anybody watched this movie here? I'm going to spoil it for you if you haven't seen it, but it's a very nice movie. I've seen maybe 10 times, I think. And the reason I like it so much is because, again, I was born in a small village, and the life, the things that are happening in a small environment with limited resources is similar, not just only in far east of Turkey, but also in a small village in France. And the story is about an uncle and a nephew. The uncle is trying to prepare a good future for his nephew.